I'm Anne-Maria Roy, your host for the day. On behalf of IEEE Malabar Subsection, I welcome you all to the day 2 of 10th edition of Roadmap to Success in Engineering Studies 2021. A wonderful initiative to assist engineering aspirants in choosing the right discipline and fulfill their career goals. The most awaited day, we have a panel discussion with eminent personalities from the world of tech. Also an enthusiastic moderator for us, and we will have a discussion on various aspects of engineering. Let's get to know our panelists. We have Mr. Varghese Cherian, Head Technology Services, UST. He had held the positions as Senior Engineer, Project Manager, and CTO of Kochi and Dubai wings of NEST. He is also an active IEEEan who handled the positions at Kerala section as the Chair of Computer Society, Chair of Industrial Relations, and currently he is acting as the Chair of Promotion of Innovation and Entrepreneurship. With huge round of applause, let's welcome Mr. Varghese Cherian. Hearty welcome, sir. On born day of ISRO, we have a former ISRO scientist, Professor A. Ravi Kumar, Space Application Center, ISRO, Ahmedabad. He was immediate past chair of Institution of Electronics and Telecommunication Engineers, Hyderabad Center. He had 36 years of experience in R&D, teaching, and industry. He held senior positions in space research industry, engineering, education, and administration. With a great respect and pride, I welcome you, sir. Welcome. We have Dr. Jisha V R, Associate Professor, College of Engineering, Trivandrum. She has authored and co-authored many multiple peer-reviewed papers and represented works at many national and international conferences. She is also a member of Board of Governors, Kerala Technological University. She also serves as a chair of IEEE Robotics and Automation Society. We welcome you, ma'am. We also have Mr. Sahil Sameer, IIM Indore, President, IEEE Technology, Engineering and Management Society, IIM Indore, core team of Product Management Club and Share, IIM Indore. He was also awarded IEEE Larry K. Wilson Asia Pacific Outstanding Volunteer Award in 2019. He is also founder of KeralaRescue.in, the official government portal for the rescue and rehabilitation activities developed during the floods of 2018. We welcome you, sir. We also have Pooja Haridas. She completed BTech in Computer Science from Government Engineering College, Kannur in year 2020. Currently working as engineer at Qburst. She served as Malabar Subsection Student Representative of year 2019. We welcome you, ma'am. We also have Mr. Ferdinand Thomas V, Power and Performance Engineer in Intel. He is a tech enthusiastic working on robotics and neural networks, VLSI and embedded system. He had served as technical coordinator of IEEE SP Model Engineering College, Kochi, and chair of Mixed Signals Model Engineering College, Kochi. Let's welcome Mr. Ferdinand Thomas. Welcome, sir. Also, I welcome the moderator of this session, Shone Jose, Vice Chair, Student Activities Committee, IEEE Kerala Section in charge of Malabar Hub. He is also an Associate Manager of Course 5 Intelligence. Now over to you, sir.
Thank you, Anne-Maria. As already Anne-Maria mentioned, we have a very eminent panel members to answer all the questions and queries from the participants. As always, in the beginning of the session, we used to have very less in terms of participation, and we are anticipating it should go up in the course of time. So a very happy Independence Day to everyone. So let's, without much delay, let's move on to the discussion. This is the 10th edition of the Roadmap to Success in Engineering Studies, organized by IEEE Malabar Subsection. I'm fortunate enough to be part of this program since 2012. And every year, we get a very same question from the participants, both students and their parents. There is none other than which is the best branch to choose. In spite of we take separate sessions on each of the branches. So there are some sub questions along with that, like which is the best branch for boys, which is the best branch for girls, which is the which is the engineering branch, has more opportunity. So I would like to hear from our eminent panel members. I request Varghese sir to put your views on this.
It's always a very tough question to answer, and it always is difficult to go first. Good evening, budding engineers. There is no good or there is no bad branch. I think we should probably disperse ourselves of that thought process in the first place. At the end of the day, when you graduate, you're an engineer, right? It's just that you have a specialization. So that's the perspective that I view all engineering from. As long as you're passionate about your subject and your passion flows through and comes through, there is an opportunity that exists for you, anywhere, right? The only caveat that I will add is, unlike some of the, unlike the situation in the past, the post-pandemic world is going to be quite different, and we are also, already seeing some of it at this point, right? So the, the traditional forms of learning that we did, and the subjects that we chose are all good, but we'll have to bolster that with some level of newer courses, right? And that, if you take a look at it, is mostly what I would call as bridge courses in a sense. So for example, if you're a civil engineer, right, it might be good for you to learn something about smart building, smart communities and so on, right? Because the world is changing, and that the smartness part of it, if you add to your civil engineering, will certainly improve the opportunities that you have when you come out, right? So there are these kind of interdisciplinary courses or areas that I think you need to kind of build skills on, that might actually help you to a large extent in this modern world. Just by keeping ourselves to our traditional engineering subjects alone is not going to be very relevant in the world that is coming up. You'll hear from the other panelists as well, even in core subjects, whether it is engineering, electronics, or electrical, or even computer science, which supposedly has a lot of opportunities today, just sticking to that is not enough, because the world is changing. It is a lot more about interdisciplinary areas and therefore interdisciplinary expertise that people value, more than just saying that, hey, I'm a electronics engineer, so what, right? I'm just choosing electronics as just an example, right? So that would be my thought process.
Thank you, sir. Ravi Kumar, sir, can you put forward your views?
Good afternoon to all student participants and all my colleagues here. This question is really, I must not say a simple word, but still it's a funny question. Why I would like to say that is, see, what is the purpose of education? We have to come from the fundamentals. And these branches is really a branch only. It's not the root. Root is something very strong, and it has got stem, and which is holding all the branches. So, okay, I would like to, I come to that branch point also, but you see, the attitude is very important. The education is supposed to impart the attitude into students' mind, and then grasping, following the concept, and making a life. Making a life for what? It is not making a life for myself. It is making life for the country, for the nation, for the world, and whatever it is. So it's a bigger perspective to look into it. So we are trying to see the minute part of this engineering as a bread winning aspect of us. So we have to, as a teacher, we have to educate other students in this manner. So this is what it is. I just don't want to drift further into so many other issues. There are so many other issues I can still say. The so-called gurujis, world gurujis, they are really world gurus at the age of 15 years, but still they are asked to study at least degrees. They don't need the degree, but still it is the comprehension, understanding the world, learning the language, learning to live together with the society, understand the problems of the society, and discuss about it. So coming to the point of this, which branch is good for boys, girls, and which is better for perspective. So this is all the personal view. In my childhood, my father never asked me what I want to become. Because he was a civil engineer back in 1947 from Guindy University, I was fascinated, so I wanted to become an engineer. I do not know what are the branches. So when I joined in 79, I wanted to become civil engineer and there were no seats for it. So I had to take electronics and communications. Finally, I am able to live happily. I forgot that ambition of becoming civil engineer kind of thing. So fine. See, which branch is good for boys means it is the capability. The boy is vibrant in nature, able to travel, talk, and all that. Then he can choose some branches like core branches, where a stubborn attitude is required, physics is required. So such mechanical engineering kind of thing. As a boy is reserved and he works more with his brain, then he should be in electronics or computer science kind of thing. Or of course, now the branches are no more relevant. In my engineering days, only 4 branches were there. Now there are, I think, 22 branches. And now the branches have further divided into super specialization kind of thing, artificial intelligence, machine learning, data science, etc. So if we have to catch the tip of the tree, we have to start from the root, then climb the stem and like that. So no, don't think about this question at all, because it's a funny question. I just wanted to repeat my word. Don't think about it. It is your choice. You try to think about it. And I request all the students at least plan 10 years ahead from today, how the things are going to be. But I am very sure all our anticipations or projections may not be true. They may change. They may change to a different plane. So the preparedness is more important. Branches, it is your choice. Any branch will lead to the top position. Any branch can lead to the top position. It is irrespective of the boys and girls. Now girls are doing all jobs that are only men were supposed to, were offered to do last a long time back. I don't want to give the example of Mrs. Narayana, this Infosys chairman. That's a different story. So better branch means which branch you like and why you are taking this branch. Students should decide and think mature. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Even though I also realize this is a funny question, but parents and students consider it as the most important question, and that's the question we've repeated for the last decade. So that's the reason I'm repeating.
Question should be funny only. In fact, it's a good question.
Yes, yeah. Jisha, ma'am.
Yes. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So very warm good evening, everyone, and thank you to IEEE Malabar Subsection for the opportunity. Sabik sir and team, thank you for the opportunity. So regarding the question, as the previous speakers were mentioning, my concept is also similar to that. See, there is nothing like a bad or good branch of engineering. Okay. So each engineering discipline is contributing to the development of the society. So that we are seeing it in our day-to-day life, right? And so the priority basically should be the interest of the students, right? Okay, so I wish to work with machines or some mechanical design. I wish to do, then so you have some interest towards that area, right? Or if you are interested towards working with circuits and all, okay, there are options like electronics and electrical, etc. And some are very much interested in coding. Okay, then we have computer science option. So basically, it is all dependent on your interest. Okay, so what is the interest? That's the first question you should have in your mind. But some people, some students, they will not be having, okay, I wish to go for engineering, but which one I should choose? Like, I don't have any specific interest towards mechanical or electrical or electronics or computer science like that. So if that is the case, if you are in confused state like that, then I will definitely recommend core branches of engineering itself, blended with, as Varghese sir was pointing out, blended with minor courses. Because there are a lot of opportunities coming up. Like, even though you plan to become an electrical engineer, there is an opportunity to learn artificial intelligence along with that by choosing the minor program. Okay, and even though you are a mechanical engineer, then also you have opportunity to learn communication engineering if you wish. So similar to that, blended. So the first option is like which branch of engineering. So I would mainly suggest core branches itself, and that should be from, and also from good institutions like IITs, NITs, or good NIRF ranked institutions. Okay, so see, there are so many core branches of engineering, as all of you are aware of, mechanical, electrical, electronics, civil, computer science, EC. Nowadays, even computer science is categorized as that core branch of engineering. I would strongly recommend that, along with blended learning of minor programs. And nowadays, a lot of online courses are being offered, right, through Coursera, NPTEL, etc. So definitely, we need to, it should be a blend of these. And there was one question like which branch is better job perspective. So so I will not be able to say, see, all branches have very good opportunities, right? So if you are graduating from very good institute, definitely lot of opportunities that are there for all branches of engineering. But like sometimes, from the perks perspective, I have seen that like the computer science and ECE job offers, like I have seen like 46 lakhs, 50 lakhs per annum are being offered for those branches of study. So other than that, like job opportunities are same for similar for almost all branches of engineering if you are graduating from a very good institution. So that's from my side.
Thank you, Jisha ma'am. So let's hear from our recent graduates also whether there will be a difference in the views. Let's start with Sahil.
Hi, first of all, am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much for providing me this opportunity to share some views with this eminent panel. So I have a slightly different opinion, in the sense I completely respect the opinion of all the panelists, but then I'll be telling, for the participants out here, I'm a 2019 engineering graduate from Government Model Engineering College, Kochi. I was an EC graduate. I was an Electronics and Communication Engineering graduate. So I was doing my BTech from 2015 to 19. I'm not as experienced as the other panelists out here. So first of all, a disclaimer, these are just my views. You can take it or you can leave it. So I will take you to my childhood, where actually the passion for engineering was formed in me. So right from my childhood, actually my father is also an engineer. So I was having the privilege to access a computer right from my first standard. So I used to spend a lot of time with computer, not for coding and stuff. So I just play games and Road Rash, all those kind of games. But then see my interaction with the computer, the people around me told yeah, you are doing good. You are having a good relation with the computer. So you should go for engineering. And after a while, what happened was like during my 10th standard and 11th standard, I used to build some small circuits using like small breadboards and stuff. So I hope all the participants are aware of what a breadboard is. So it's nothing like I just Google for some of the projects, then I exactly do what they do in the video. So this is all what I have done. But then the kind of encouragement and motivation I got like from the teachers out there were like, yeah, engineering is for you. Like engineering is your future. So I was getting these kind of motivations. So what happened was like I was also like moved by these movies like Three Idiots, for example, where you can see a very fancy uh, like mode of engineering where people used to fly drones, they used to make Polaris kind of cars out here. So that was my whole perception of engineering when I was visiting the college. But then first day of college, it was a shock because you can do all these stuffs in engineering. You can make drones, you can make cars, you can do everything. But then that's not all about engineering. In engineering, you have to go through a process. You have to study the theory. You have to do all those stuff. Along with that, you can also make your drones and all those things. But the studying the theory part, then understanding about the design aspects of many of the circuits, this was not in my mind. This was not my perception of engineering. Uh, so there was a kind of shock for me when I moved to engineering. It was not what I thought engineering is actually about. So the lesson I would like to give on to you from this particular incident is like, don't form a bias. Like you might feel like you might feel like you are good at electronics and communication. You might feel like if you are so passionate about cars, then people have a perception that mechanical engineering is your thing. But the thing is like cars, yeah, cars have something to do with mechanical engineering, but it's not like if you have a love for car, you should pursue mechanical engineering. There is nothing of that sort. So don't form a bias in your mind that if you are good at something, you should pursue this branch of engineering. Always be open for suggestions because like I have been in your face like 5, 6, 7 years back. So I know that many of the students like me when I was in my 12th, won't be having an exact idea about what will be happening in different branches. So don't form a bias. Be open to suggestions from people. Try to understand in the broader sense, not by linking a car to mechanical engineering and a computer playing a game in a PC to computer engineering. From a broader perspective. The second thing I would like to tell is like many of you have asked about job, which is the best branch. So best branch is actually relative. So for example, many of the people will be looking for the placements of a particular branch. I can say you like I don't have to hide anything. Like when you go to any of the colleges in India, computer science engineering is mostly have the highest average package in most of the colleges. But then what if your priority is not money? In the sense, what if you don't like to sit in front of a computer and code for hours? So you cannot simply compare apple with oranges. Like if your priority is this, then there is no point in comparing the placement packages of different branches and choosing a branch. So set your priorities like what I know it will be difficult for you to think in a long term, like what you'll be doing after 10 to 15 years when you don't even have an idea about what's happening in different branches. But then at least have these priorities set. Are you someone who will be willing to sit in front of a computer and code for hours? So these kind of things should be very clear. My third suggestion to all the students is like, don't fall for this trap. Like many of the colleges, even the established colleges, they actually use these fancy names as a cash cow of their particular organization to increase their revenue. For example, I will tell you one funny example about one of my friends. So basically, he or she, I am not revealing the gender, but she was like too much interested in cooking. She's from Talaseri. So as you all know, like Talaseri is famous for cooking. So she took this branch, food technology. Why? She thought like it's something related to cooking or something related to food at least. So food is of her interest. So she thought like food technology will be her zone. Like she will be able to do a lot of things in food technology. But then only after going there, they understood that food technology is not about cooking food. It's about the operation side of it, supply chain side of it, packing, packaging, increasing the shelf life, etc. So it's an allied branch of mechanical engineering. So this is why I told don't fall for this fancy name. So 2 months back, I was actually taking a session for one of the coaching institutions. Like I was doing an orientation session. And I was amused to see the questions from the participants. Like most of the people were asking about what's the prospect of aeronautical engineering, what's the prospects of biotech. They were coming with lots of fancy names, which I have not even come across even after doing a 4 years of BTech. I would like to warn all of you that many of the colleges, even the established colleges out here, start many new branches with fancy names to use it as a cash cow. As I completely agree with Jisha ma'am, I would suggest, if you don't have that kind of interest to a particular branch, for example, if you are not that passionate about aeronautical or something like biotechnology or something, go for a versatile branch, go for a traditional branch, and then you can do your post-graduation to focus on any of the areas. So that will set your foundations right. Otherwise, you will be missing out on the foundations. Even like I'm doing an MBA now, I can see like many of even the prominent B schools across the country. So B school is business schools or is the colleges which offer an MBA program. So these people used to start lots. They'll be having a primary program which will be their best program, which will be the program which they will be known for. But then they will be starting many new programs like MBA in sports management, MBA in tourism management, etc., which won't be having any job prospects or any future, but then they'll be just their cash cow. It will be just to attract the students. So don't fall for this particular trap. And yeah, I will take it forward when the panel discussion continues. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sahil, and also you have kind of answered some of the upcoming questions as well. So moving on, Pooja, can you put forward your views?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. First of all, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity, like Malabar subsection, for giving me this opportunity to be a part of such eminent personalities. And I think most of them I've already heard what the panelists are being talking about. So I would also like, just like Sahil mentioned, like I would like to give about my perspective. So I'm a very recent graduate. I just completed my BTech in computer science and engineering in 2020. Already Sahil has mentioned that like he had a perception of what engineering was, but my story is completely different because as a child, I was a child, like I did not know what I wanted to become. So, and the only thing I knew was I really loved mathematics. Like when I was in 11th and 12th, I used to solve R.D. Sharma books, and I was really addicted to this. So my parents were like, "You are so much in love with mathematics. So the one thing that is good for you will be engineering," and that too, they inclined it towards computer science and engineering, because most of the people thought that if you are very good at mathematics, you have to opt for computer science because that is related. But only after entering into engineering that I found out that mathematics is just a base. Like for every engineering branches, mathematics is the base, and like from that route everything sprouts out. So like so my condition was truly different, because my perception of what mathematics was totally different when I entered into computer science and engineering. So like my love of mathematics totally differed when it when I came into computer science and engineering. The subjects were different. My thinking mentality had to be different. So by the time I was really struggling during my first semester to get accustomed to it. So what I would like to ask you people is that you have to find what your interest is, and just like Sahil mentioned, clear all those perceptions that you have from movies or whatever you other people are talking about. Just you have, like, the internet is at our feet now, so you can just go through all these things, like what does these people teach, what are the subjects, or you can hear from in YouTube. There are a lot of videos which speaks from the people who have completed these courses. So maybe these would help you to understand what is that and get a more clear picture of what is best for you. And just like this question, like which branch is good for girl and boy, so I don't think that there is anything to do with that, because regardless of gender, what is best for you remains best for you. Like what is best for me will never be best for someone else. So it is totally a personal question that you should ask yourself. Like people might say, like there are people who still say that branch is not, as you are a girl, that you shouldn't be a part of that branch. But of course, when you dig deeper, there will be a lot of girls or boys belonging to that branch. So the first question that you will have to ask yourself is, what is your inclination towards? And is my inclination matching with what the engineering courses, what they teach in engineering, or is it different from that? Like you have to pick out what is that actual thing that you require. Now, why I'm telling this difference is that, like, I have a friend, like she had a very clear picture before coming into engineering what she wanted to do, like why she took up computer science and engineering. So she had a very clear picture, and now she is like she got AIR rank 10 in the GATE exam, and she is a part of IAC Bangalore. So like she had a very clear picture right from the beginning what she wanted to do, how she want, like just like Ravi Kumar mentioned, like you have to think 10 years ahead. So she, right from the beginning, she did think about that. And like that, I think that is what channeled towards her success, because every now and then she was working towards what her vision was. So in my case, like I was really struggling during the first 2 months to get accustomed to it, and only then I got the track of it and I started loving coding. And then my like inner strengths towards coding and all started showing up. So like now is a really good time for all the budding engineers to look about in the internet or different sources. There are enormous number of sources that you can look up on. You can even contact some people on LinkedIn and ask them for their opinions to find out where your real taste lies. So I think that is what I would like to tell to all these people.
Thank you, Pooja. Ferdinand.
Yeah, hi. So I would like to start by thanking for giving me such an opportunity. Yeah, and from all these eminent personalities, I believe like all the points that all these people said, they're all relevant. What I believe is like I have to put up my viewpoint right now. So I'm a person who started my engineering thought by watching movies, to be honest. So first one was obviously Iron Man. Then came something like Three Idiots. So I saw this was the college life and all those things. But during my first year and second year, like I mean the +1 and +2 itself, I started tinkering with my passion. I thought like this was my passion. So I wanted to pursue that. I wanted to know what are the future options that I might get if I go through engineering. So I used to do small tinkering on circuit boards and things like that in the home, just like Sahil said. And I actually found out that this was my piece of cake. So yeah, so while joining the college, my parents used to ask, do you have an idea which branch you want? There was a definite answer. Yeah, I actually wanted to do electronics and communication. And I was too fascinated with electronics. But yeah, once I joined the college, there was a difference in uh, in the way I was thinking the engineering would be, and the engineering that I got, the learning I got in college, it was different. So basically, engineering studies is actually the method in which you are going to solve a problem, whatever the course be. Let it be electronics, let it be computer science. Engineering is actually the study of problem solving, methodical problem solving. So suppose you have a problem in computer science, you want to create something. So that's a problem. So how do you approach that problem? How do you solve it? That is what you're learning throughout your course in your BTech. So basically, irrespective of whatever the course is, the most basic thing that you're going to learn during your 4 years of BTech is actually that skill, how you're going to approach the problems or how you're going to solve it, the step-by-step approaches. So that will vary depending on which branch you're taking. So basically, I believe the first 2 years are almost 1 or 2 years in your engineering courses will be almost similar. Because of this reason, it is actually that problem solving steps. So for the question, I believe the main question was like whether which branch is good for boys and girls. As anyone else has already replied, there is no relevance in gender in engineering. And also I've seen that there is no one special course which can offer you the happiness in your long time. So that is one thing. Money is never equal to happiness, right? So the only thing is that when you do one job or when you do some task with passion, you'll be able to sustain it for a long time. So make sure that whatever course you're choosing, make sure to have a good amount of passion to it. So if you believe you like computer science, explore more about it. Confirm that you have that passion when you go deep into it. You'll be able to sustain that passion throughout your BTech journey or engineering journey, whatever it is. So basically understand that I would say the keyword for keyword for excelling in engineering is one word: passion. That's it. So make sure that your passion is aligned properly. And if you proceed with that, definitely you can achieve a better excellence in engineering studies. Thank you.
Thank you, Ferdinand, and thank you all the panel members to put forward your view. Probably our participants would have got a broader idea, there is no specific branch for specific gender, and it's all depend upon your passion, and otherwise go for the conventional branches, or so-called core branches. Now, another set of questions we received is around how to select our higher education. It could be what factor we need to emphasize on, whether we need to check out the institution. For example, if we are getting some course in IIT, just take it out there, or is it like we should give emphasis on the course? For example, if you do not get a, say, we take electronics in IIT, the next is NIT, say let's go for an NIT, or is it like the location? Is it like we should opt a institute or a course in a prime location? So generally the question is around what should be the factor in selecting, whether it is an institute, whether it is the course, whether it is the location, or is there any other factor? So I think this is also it is also very relative to everyone. So again, I request all the panel members to put forward your view. Let's start this time. Let's go for a different order. Let's start with recent graduates. So Sahil, can you put forward your view?
Yeah, sure thing. Thank you for the question. So basically, answering this question, like how to choose your college, it's also a relative kind of thing. But then I have certain suggestions. So these are my personal opinions. Again, these are my personal opinions. So a disclaimer on that. So if you're as you know that, like when you move from the IITs to the NITs to the state level engineering colleges, the opportunities they provide within the college as well as the prospects actually varies. You can still argue that you can be in a state level college and still work hard. You can do your homework, then you can take many courses, and you can still achieve whatever has been achieved by an IITian or an NITian. But then I'm talking about the general crowd, the median or the average crowd of this college in an IIT will be better off than in an NIT, and NIT will be better off than in a state level college. So there are certain aspects to this. One is about the bragging rights. I have seen like many of the companies offering like different packages for the same role in different colleges. For example, they pay more for the same job done by a person for an IITian, but at the same time, it will be lower for an NITian, and it will be even maybe lower in a state level college. This has happened. So why this is happening? Because one thing, like if you get into an IIT, the person, it's not about what you have learned from the IIT. Obviously, that's important, but more than that, if you got into an IIT, it tells that you are hardworking and you are trainable. So you have put in your right amount of hard work when many of your friends were actually chilling and wasting their time. So it's a right metric to actually test. Like many of the people actually have a hatred towards IITians. Why? Because many of the people have actually tried IIT and they're not able to make it. That's the only reason. Why? Because they have put in the right amount of hard work when they should have done that. And so it's a metric of how hardworking they are. So that's one of the reasons why people offer more salary for an IITian than an NITian, and vice versa. Second is the kind of exposure. So for example, talking one of the aspects, the cultural fest of IIT Bombay, which is Mood Indigo, the budget of Mood Indigo is around 2.5 to 3 crores. So imagine if you are getting into an IIT at the age of 22 or 21, if you, for example, if you are the treasurer of Mood Indigo, students are actually running the fest. So if you are the treasurer of Mood Indigo, then possibly you will be able to handle a fund size of almost 2.5 crores when you are at the age of 21. Which when you move to an NIT, for example, NIT Calicut is having Ragam, which is also one of the best cultural fests. So its budget is around 50 to 60 lakhs. So see the transition. And when you come to a state level college, it will be around 20 lakhs. So I'm not telling that IITs have better cultural fests, so go for it. But these kind of differences are there in many of the aspects, not just in terms of cultural fest. That is one. Second thing, I have already told you about the bragging rights. So if you are an IITian, it already gives you a person. You don't have to again introduce yourself as you are so and so, you have done so and so, because already if you are an IIT, people have a perception, or it's actually true that you are trainable and you are more hardworking. So I would prefer a college with more bands. So personally, I would prefer a college with more bands, unless I have a clear idea that I have to do this particular branch. For example, if I'm so passionate about mechanical engineering right from my childhood, I have done my homework, I'm sure that I want to pursue mechanical engineering. And if I'm not able to get a seat at NIT Calicut in mechanical engineering, then it makes a sense to down the tier of the institution and go for your favorite branch. It absolutely makes sense. Don't fall for the brand trap, because it's not going to give you happiness, at least in the long run, because the branch you choose stick on with your life forever. But the brand you can certainly upgrade after a while. You can do a PG or something of that sort. Then talking about the location again. So if you are in a state level college, as you know, like the opportunities are not as prominent as what you get in an IIT or an NIT. Even though, like, when I tell you, don't feel like state level colleges are not having any of the opportunities. It's actually good. I'm just comparing on a scale of opportunities. So if it's an IIT or an NIT, it doesn't matter where the IIT is located. For example, there is an IIM in Jammu. I'm talking about, I'm slightly shifting from IITs to IIMs. There's an IIM at Jammu. And one of my friends actually got admitted to IIM Jammu. And he was actually confused, why should I go and study at Jammu? Like, will it make any sense? Because there's a huge locational disadvantage when you're going to study at Jammu. But some of the experts have told him, like, you are not going to Jammu. Like, if you are going to IIM Jammu, you are not going to Jammu. If you are going to IIM Indore, you are not going to Indore. You are actually going to IIM, that particular IIM. So it will be a huge campus in its own. It will be having all the facilities and opportunities to cater you. And if the institute is good, if it's an IIT or if it's an NIT or if it's a good IIIT or something, then the companies are gonna come to you. For example, there's a campus called BITS. I hope you are all aware of about BITS. So BITS is having a Goa campus. And Goa campus is not exactly in Goa, it's in the outskirts of Goa as well. But then even some of the best companies out there, like some of the best corporates actually visits the campus because the students out there are good. So moral of the story in a nutshell is, like, if the college is good, if the brand is good, don't go for the location. But if you are choosing a state level kind of college, for example, I myself had a huge locational advantage because I was studying in Kochi. Because, like, the Infopark was nearby, so I was able to get some of the industry exposure from Infopark. There was a Kerala startup mission near my college because it was in Kochi, so I was able to attend many of the events. I was able to broaden my perspective by listening to many of the speakers. So these kind of opportunities come with the locational advantage. So if you are going for a lower tier kind of college, then the advantage of location starts to kick in, and choose for that. Finally, like, I will put a question to trigger your thought. So Sundar Pichai, as you all know, he's the CEO of Alphabet. He was a graduate from IIT Kharagpur, but guess his branch is not computer science. He's a graduate in metallurgical engineering or something of that sort. That kind of an offbeat branch. So that talks about the brag and price, the tag, the power of the institution. Yeah. So let's take forward and let the panel continue. Thank you.
Thank you, Sahil. So while going towards Pooja, let me try to reframe the question. Pooja, did you selected the Government College of Engineering Kannur because of the location? Is it because it is near to your hometown or something? Or
no, like it generally happened because, like, I didn't want to. I was at PC hostel for in 11th and 12th, so I didn't want to continue in hostel. So that is why I chose. I wanted to go from my home, so that is why I chose Government College of Engineering Kannur. So, like, as I already mentioned, I never looked for JEE mains or anything because I never knew. I didn't have this thing like I want engineering, so I never prepared for all those things. Now, as Sahil already, like, coming back to the question, like as Sahil already mentioned that, like, of course IITs and NITs all colleges are in fact prestigious, but when it comes to the whole society's perception, like IITs and NITs, they have a level of their own, and of course it is a metric which speaks about the student, like they are hardworking. But like my perception is that like the consistency is the key. Just because you get into an IIT, that doesn't mean that you are supposed to get a package of this. It depends upon how you have worked hard during your 4 years. What is the type of exposure? Of course, these colleges have an exposure of their own. Just like Sahil mentioned, like the location favors to it. All these are there. But even if all these are not there, the level, the limit up to which you push yourself determines the package that you get or the job you are going to do. So like being from any college, like if you push yourself, you will reach your limits. That is what I felt. Like even from there, like I have a friend from IIT, like who went to IIT Madras because he was interested in mechanical and engineering, but somehow he didn't, unfortunately he could not get into mechanical engineering. But since it is IIT Madras, he took up marine engineering, but he was never interested in that subject. So now he did not sit for placements, and now he's sitting idle. He's looking for something else that he has to do. So he's from IIT Madras. IIT Madras is one of the prestigious institutions. So I guess it depends upon the exposure that you expose yourself to. Like we have platforms like IEEE, IST, and a lot of other platforms that is there to provide us this exposure. And if you push yourself a little bit more, be wherever your location is, whichever college you are, I think you will ultimately reach your goals and be as equally valuable in your skills as any other IIT student or an NIT student. That is what I feel, because like I have another friend from MEC, like Model Engineering College, Nikita Malya. She belongs to the Model Engineering College, but now she's working in Tesla. So she's not from an IIT or an NIT. Of course, she did a master's outside, but she also had a very good view of what she wanted to do. She was a GHC scholar. So she pushed herself to participate in all these events and finally achieve what she wanted. So my perception is, just like Sahil mentioned, like if you are so much interested, you want to learn here, and you're sure that you will keep up the consistency, then IITs are definitely the place you have to go, because the exposure there is so much. But if you are in a confusion, just for the sake of IIT, I'm choosing it, I don't think that is gonna help you out. Like it depends totally on you, how much you push yourself for your goals. So that is my view on this question.
Yeah, thank you, Pooja. And also adding to Sahil and Pooja, if Sundar Pichai is from IIT, Satyan Adela is from MIT. So it's not that even the institute matters, we can say, like as Pooja rightly mentioned, it's all about you, but still continue with the question, Ferdinand.
Yeah, so basically I would like to add a small thing. Apart from all these points, obviously all these points are relevant, from location to what you're going to get after when you're doing the engineering and all. One thing I would like to add is like, if you imagine you have to come, if you got you've got the opportunity to get into some NITs. So when you are comparing some NITs, or you're comparing some IITs, when it comes to third tier colleges also, when you're comparing, make sure a point that you talk with the people who got out of the college after 4 years, where they have reached, what were the opportunities that they got while they were in college. So that is one relevant point that I would like to suggest before you before you take a decision. So basically, I'm actually from Model Engineering College. So the reason why I chose Model Engineering College was mainly because the placement cell was pretty strong. The amount of the students, they were too supportive and all. But the story is same for a lot of colleges. And similarly, a lot of colleges out there support multiple domains to excel. For example, in some colleges, they ask you, they'll help you in research-oriented perspectives. The theoretical side will be pretty strong. So the people who graduate from those colleges, they'll be releasing more papers and more journals. They'll be more into the intellectual kind of stuff. At the same time, there'll be some colleges which is more inclined towards the practical side. So they will be more directive towards the industry. For example, the students graduating from those colleges will be more industry capable. So there are colleges which emphasizes on specific things. So the best thing to do is like, when you have to compare between some colleges, you have the opportunity to get into some specific colleges. You want to compare between them. At that point, I would recommend ask the seniors who are currently in their final year in the same college, or who have graduated from that college. Understand what are the opportunities that you're going to get throughout your 4 years. How can you grow? Which all fields you can grow, whether it is practical side or theoretical side, or maybe both. Yeah. So make a point that you get your priorities correct, which part you want to excel in, and proceed from there. That would be my recommendation.
Thank you, Ferdinand. Before moving on to the panel members, I request all the participants to post your questions if you have any in the chat box, so that we can take it up in this session. Varghese sir, so we hear from the recent graduates. However, you are the person who will be recruiting this students. So from a recruiter point of view, what will be your comment on this?
Yeah, a couple of points to it. I think we didn't go through the IIT, NIT, IIM. The key to remember is hardworking is one aspect, but it's really about the selection criteria, right? If you take a look at why IIT is ranked very high, the selection criteria is extremely stringent, and therefore the people who have had the exposure to getting into IITs would probably get it. So if you take a look at by the time that I was graduating, while a lot of people in Kerala had heard about IITs, there's very few people who went from Kerala into IITs because they didn't have the exposure or the orientation to get into IITs, right? It is those things that matter, right? And the fact is that the criteria is very stringent, and therefore once you get into IIT, there is a halo for sure. But then, if you really look at it, right, I have colleagues who are IITians, I've managed IITians, I have colleagues who are IIMs, I've managed IIMs as part of my team. The key thing that I kind of always talk about is, aim for the highest, right? And the reason is very simple, is, if you aim for the stars, you might actually hit the tree top, and that, with the exposure that you have, that might be good enough in a sense, right? But the fact that the criteria is stringent should not prevent you from trying it out. You should try it out, right? Because that criteria is what sets you apart, right? So that's the first thing that I kind of talk about, and that criteria is what we also look for, in a sense that is that person. It's not, and then here I'm going to put aside the institution in a sense, and I'm really looking at the fact that did that person who went to engineering study what they were meant to do, right? Did they try to get an exposure that was beyond the four walls of the college in a sense? Did they do something beyond their studies, whether it's extracurricular, whether it's problem solving, whatever they were passionate about? Do they have the right attitude? Because those are very critical elements. And the reason why I'm saying that is also because I have come across IITians who have not been very successful, right? At least not in their chosen profession, right? Pooja mentioned one of them. I was trying to remember this guy who I met in IIT Madras, who actually went on to become one of the best composers. In fact, he won a Grammy for documentary movies for the music of one of the documentaries, right? And I had met this guy in IIT Madras way back in the 90s, right? So traditionally, you would think that everybody who comes from IIT would become an engineer, would rise up, all of that. And he ended up doing nothing about, in engineering at all, because he barely graduated from IIT, right? And music was his passion. He was a guitarist even then, went on to become, a musician, putting in, I would say engineering music in a sense for the movies, which was what he did, right? So so the fact that you enter an institution does not give you the right to brag in a sense. It's when you graduate with honors that you get the rights to brag, right? So that's something very important to keep in mind, right? It doesn't matter whether you graduate from CET or whether it, NIT Trichy or NIT Calicut. You have to graduate, and you have to graduate well, right? So that's the fundamental thing I would talk about. The second is, unlike in the past, and I graduated in the 90s. So you can imagine that there were probably about 6 IITs, 4 IIMs. Then you were talking in terms of really elitism, right? If you have to get into these places. But more than that, over a period of time, what I've realized is it's the exposure that they get because of the kind of professors that they have. And a lot of the professors actually used to consult with the industry at that point of time, giving them a very industrial perspective, even when you're, are studying in college, right? Some of the students might actually be working on projects that are industry related right when you're graduating, something that was unheard of probably in state colleges at that point of time, except those colleges that are probably affiliated or very close to an industrial city, right? Then you might see it a lot more. So, again, that's kind of the second point, right? Exposure. So the third thing I want to talk about is once you graduate and you graduate well, right? Then most things are kind of common. And the reason why I'm saying that is because you brought up the point, Shone, that, when years back, people would say that if you had to be a CEO of a public company, you had to graduate from Harvard, right? That was almost like a given thing because, and you go back about 10 years and look at all the CEOs, they would all have a Harvard pedigree, right? And then you would say that, hey, if you really have to look at good engineering, product-based companies, they all had to come from MIT, right? The hallmark of engineering graduates and, from whether it's a graduate, whether it's a postgraduate or a doctorate, right? Those days have gone to a large extent, right? Ultimately, it's about the exposure that you get and the exposure that you can create. Now, 20 years, 30 years back, we didn't have internet. So I had no clue about how Harvard taught their students. I had no clue about how an MIT taught their students. Now, sitting in a village in Attapadi, you can do a Coursera course from Harvard or from MIT, right? And that's exactly the same course that you get. The only lacunae that you have is the mentorship of the people that are probably there, right? The professors, the teaching assistants, the research assistants, and all of that. That is what you will miss, right? And therefore, I come to my last point, which is find a great mentor, right? Now, if you can find the right mentor, that person can really guide you and help you. And it doesn't matter whether it's, you're going into engineering, whether you're going to something beyond engineering. At the end of the day, if you have a great mentor, that person can help and guide you in making you find the right things to do, find the right choices to make, right? And the last point I want to make is, it doesn't matter if you don't get a great college in your graduate. Now, if you're really determined to pass from an IIT, you can always do your post-graduation in IIT, right? So you still get the IIT tag, right? So today, it's a leveling field in a lot of sense, right? Internet has leveled a lot of the things that we kind of held very sacrosanct 10 years back, 15 years back. So the position that I'm saying is, sometimes we don't have a choice in terms of the college that we have, right? If you're really passionate, do your studies well, graduate with honors in the college that you're studying in, right? If you have a choice, great, pick and choose the college, right? Others talked about it. Choose, talk to people, understand, choose. Sometimes you just don't have the choice. Graduate well, right? And then if you graduate well, you could technically go into an IIT to do your, MTech or MS, right? Or an IISc. You can go outside and graduate today, right? Again, it's comparatively so much more easier now, right? Information is available at your fingertips. 20, 25 years back when we were trying to graduate, and trying to go abroad at that point of time, information was very, very, very meager, right? That's no longer the case. We are, I think, bombarded with information. It's just choosing the right information. And the mentor can actually help you piece the right information together. So to me, those are probably the more important elements that I would probably look at. And when we pick people, Ravi Kumar sir said this exactly well when he started off, right? Attitude, skills, passion. It doesn't matter what branch you are. It doesn't matter where you graduated from, right? If those three elements are met, I would pick up that person any day, right? If those three are non-compromisable at all, right? The guy might be passionate if he doesn't have the skills. I'm sorry, right? The guy is has a a great attitude, poor skills, I might still be okay with it, right? But if he doesn't have the right attitude, I will not pick him at all. Doesn't matter whether he has passion, whether he has skills. I really don't want that person in the team, right? So those are the things for me at the graduate level that are probably going to be the most critical. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So Jisha ma'am, so I understand that ma'am has worked in many engineering colleges, say Thrissur, CET, Trivandrum as well. So have you seen a difference, among the faculty members or the ecosystem or within the students when you were teaching at Thrissur or Trivandrum or any other college?
Not much, I should say, to that specific question. Regarding the discussion point which we were discussing currently, so the first say I would have to all the budding engineers who are listening, or I should say, is that first you should think of trying getting admission the best college itself, as previous speakers were mentioning. Okay, that's the first thing. Okay, suppose if not all the people will not be getting admission there, right? Then what we can do? Okay, IIT is over, NIT, and what are the advantages of studying there? Already panel members have already mentioned that. And then how do we choose institutions? So that can be chosen based on the national institutional ranking framework. I think you can just Google that, National Institutional Ranking Framework, and there is a specialized ranking for engineering institutions. So you can just go through that list and you can see, okay, I'm planning to study this institution, where is it standing? You can just have a look at that and decide. Okay, so all these things, see, even though you study at IIT, NIT, CET, whatever, or model engineering college, see, all these are going to help you in the first placement alone. So that's what I feel. Okay, only in the first placement, these brands are going to help you. Okay, so if you are capable, so I know very, very good students who are coming to CET, they should have been in IITs or NIT. Okay, so but still in the second level of their studies, see, they are sitting along with IITians. Okay, in when they are going for higher studies abroad, they are sitting along with IITians. Okay, so it is not because they are not having caliber, they are coming to state level institutions like CET or like Model Engineering College or GCET. It's not like that. So see, you should be ready to work hard, and you should be passionate to understand the concepts of engineering. Then no, it doesn't matter actually. Well and good, okay, if you are into IIT, NIT, well and good, or CET, it's good. The first placement, definitely you will get 50 lakhs per annum, or all those things, definitely you may get. But even though you are not from that kind of institution, definitely you can be in the place of an IITian. No doubt about that. You are very, you should be focused, should have your the plans, and you will be definitely able to reach that. Maybe definitely in the second placement, no, you will be sitting along with, maybe your colleague will be an IITian or an IITian. No doubt about that. So that is the main point I wish to convey regarding that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Ravi Kumar, sir.
Thank you. All the panelists really opened up so many important aspects of selection criteria. I appreciate all the ideas and really they're exhaustive. I would like to put my presentation like this. Briefly, I would like to say success of an engineering student depends on 4 pillars. First thing is parents. Second thing is teacher. Third thing is friends. Fourth thing is institution. Parents, they contribute a lot till the student is up to 10th standard and up to +2. And they they are forced to rather give up and leave the things choices to the student in the engineering for different reasons. They can still give the student freedom, but in a controlled environment. So their contribution up to +2 is not sufficient. They should become, now there are a good number of ads seen in the TVs, the parents becoming friends to the students, to the children. So they should become children friendly, and they associate and monitor and see what the student is doing. The second thing is the teachers. With this innumerable number of engineering colleges, we are lacking professional teachers. So that is another aspect. So how many colleges have got contributing teachers are very important for student to learn something. And third was in friends. There is a proverb, you tell me your friends, I will tell you what you are. So it's a very simple thing they influence a lot. And fourth one is, of course, definitely institution. Institution sets the standards. An institution started 60 years back, 40 years back, will reach some saturation and will maintain that standards of education, patronizing, systems. So many such things, irrespective of the principal sitting in the seat, the system will continue. But a new college, it needs to be set. So established colleges are definitely good, but we have to review the management perspective. The purpose of this education nowadays is not learning alone, it is earning also. So we have to review that. I always have highest regard to IITs, which are not reachable to all. Many people, they work 20 hours a day in Nalakunta area, Hyderabad, learn subjects from different best teachers, maths, physics, and chemistry. And they end up somewhere and they lose their balance. So parents should be guarding the student. NITs, of course, no doubt they are temples of learning, reachable to a good extent. And IIITs are there. They are trying their best to justify their prestige. So definitely institution, though it is given 4th position, it matters a lot. If the student is from some institution, it is understood that is to good extent, he is the best. If he is not, those students, there are students in IITs who may not be doing well for different reasons. So we should not talk about that. Success in engineering studies depends on all these 4 different matters, and which is invisible is the student himself. He should have a burning desire to prove his method. Location is, of course, it matters. I don't want students to travel 2 + 2, 4 hours in a bus to reach an institution. All professional engineering colleges must be in-house learning institutions. Students must be given opportunity to access the computer labs or libraries up to 10 o'clock in the night or even beyond, where IITs and NITs are offering. And traveling long distances does not give any useful, it's the best time is lost in travel. So this is a big discussion, location, institution, branch and all that. So it is not so easy. It's like a tapas. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. So in a nutshell, what we understood is the level of institute matters a lot. However, it's all depends on the person. So even not in being an IIT, you can get into heights if you work well after your graduation. So moving on to a little more specific questions. So I could see a question in the chat window already been answered by Varghese sir. So to all the participants, if you have any more questions, please post it in the chat window so we can take it up. So another question to Jisha ma'am. So ma'am, you mentioned about minors and majors. Can you explain it a little more?
Yeah, so basically, suppose you decide to graduate in a particular core branch of engineering. Suppose if you decide to choose a core branch of engineering like electrical, okay. Then unlike our days, like I graduated in 95 from CET itself, but there was no option. Like if I chose electrical engineering means I have to study all the subject related to electrical itself. But now, it's not the case, right? So what we can do is, along with electrical engineering, suppose, okay, you choose for electrical engineering, I wish to work in artificial intelligence. Just imagine. So that's like, we are hearing this word artificial intelligence every now and then, right? So then also, even though you are into electrical engineering, there is a possibility of learning about artificial intelligence by choosing the minor program in artificial intelligence, which will be generally offered by the computer science department. Okay, and even though you are from mechanical department and you wish to know, okay, some signal processing concepts and all, so there will be a minor offered by the electronics department, which is the minor in signal processing. Okay, so even though, so maybe you are into making of designing of machines, but maybe for interfacing some circuitry, signal processing may be required. You are a blend of both you wish to have, then you can choose that. So while pursuing the core branches of engineering, along with that, there is an opportunity to choose minor in different disciplines. So generally, if you consider Kerala Technological University, from the third semester onwards, we need to study one extra subject per semester in order to achieve that or complete that minor. And like some can be completed as a MOOC course, which is an online course generally offered by NPTEL. And that is one option, or you can directly take classes from the college itself. So that is regarding the minors, which is being offered along with the core branches. And there is something called honors program also, which was not heard in our days during our graduation. So what does it mean is that, like, even though you wish to be like, definitely you decided to be in an electrical engineer, you chose electrical engineering. And suppose I wish to know some advanced topics in that area. Okay, in electrical itself, no, there are so many streams. Okay, there's something called control systems, there's machines, and similarly in mechanical also, there is something called propulsion, there is something called machine design. Okay, so if you wish to know more about that, there is a possibility of studying about those honors programs in machine design, even though you are from mechanical engineering. So those opportunities are also there. Sorry.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. So now there's a question. I think I will first request Varghese sir to start with. So now there is a lot of buzz around the new generation courses. So in 2020, AICTE launched a lot of beta courses in AI, IoT, cyber security, robotics. So how, from an industry point of view, sir, what is your comment on that?
I have a very mixed, kind of thoughts around it. And the reason is because if you go back to what Ferdinand was talking about in terms of what does engineering really teach, right? Engineering teaches you to solve a problem in a certain fashion or a certain manner, right? That's really what engineering is. You build up your problem skills, you build up your analytical skills to understand the problem. Then you build up your solution skills to kind of solution. And then ultimately, you also need to have some level of thinking to understand how you will test that problem out and solve it. That's really what engineering is all about, right? And that's what we learn. The challenge when it becomes extremely, specialized is that some of that learning goes away. right? Because you end up doing only that for X number of years. So my perspective is that there's good and bad in both. I'm a very strong believer that the fundamentals need to be very strong, right? So without the fundamentals, and I'm using a civil analogy, right? If you don't build a firm foundation, you cannot build a house on top of it, right? But the foundation that holds a house cannot hold, a skyscraper, right? So to build a skyscraper, you need to build a foundation that the skyscraper can kind of stand on, right? So to me, it's very important to have those fundamental skills, because once you have the fundamental skills, a lot of the others are actually specialization. So my perspective to a larger extent is that it makes sense if, again, I'll come to a caveat a bit later, but it makes a lot more sense to have very strong fundamentals with minor courses like Jisha ma'am was talking about in some of these areas, rather than to do full-fledged specialized courses at the undergraduate level, right? And the reason is, like I said, of the fundamentals. But then on the other side, part of the challenge why the industry, and I blame the industry to a large extent for some of these things, right? And I'm part of the industry, so I'm part of the problem in a sense, right? Is that it is very difficult for us to get a student from a college and make that person productive. When I say productive, at a certain level of competency, right? In nothing less than about 2.5 to 3 years. Right? It's extremely tough, right? A year is a minimum, right? But really, if you take a look at it, if you want to get to a productive space, it takes about 2 years to kind of make them that productive. So there is a fundamental challenge in that, which is why the industry is also saying, hey, give me graduates with a specific experience. I will pick them up because then I don't have to train them, right? But again, the ground reality is 4 years from now, we'll realize, or 3 years from now, when all of these specialized graduates come, we'll probably realize that we might have a different problem altogether, right? We don't know, right? It's a trial and error to a large extent is what I would say. So my perspective is, you want to specialize, ideally go and do an MS, right? Or an MTech, or do a post-graduation there, because that's really where you need to specialize it, right? The core skills are core skills. But again, the world is changing, the needs of the world are changing. There has to be some level of specialization also. But it's a moot point. It also depends on the industry you're getting into to a large extent. Again, cybersecurity is a classic example, right? The thinking for a cybersecurity engineer is fundamentally extremely difficult to even think about, right? Because fundamentally you're thinking like a robber, right? For to be very, 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 right? You have to think like a hacker, right? You have to think like somebody who's coming to rob an organization. That's the mindset, right? When we were growing up, our parents would never tell us to have that mindset. So you need a certain class of people who think very differently, to get into that, right? So that is also a challenge, right? The traditional engineering courses are not going to give you that. So in some of these cases, the specialization is warranted, but some of these cases, probably specialization is not warranted. If you're looking at somebody who wants to be a lot more open about what they want to do when they graduate, like Jisha was talking about, is fundamentally go for your core engineering subjects, because they give you a lot more opportunity to kind of expand. If you're a cybersecurity engineer, you're pretty much tied to be a cybersecurity engineer, right? Getting out of that specialization is very tough, right? Or if you're a VLSI engineer, Ferdinand can talk about it. If you're a hardcore VLSI design engineer, you'll only do VLSI design. You're essentially useless for most of the things outside of VLSI design, right? And it's very, very, very specialized, right? The code that you write is specialized, the thinking that you have is specialized. So it's some of these, if you enter into that cubby hole, getting out is very tough. So if you're not very sure, I think, which was Pooja was mentioning earlier, if you're not very sure of what you really want to do, like Jisha was mentioning, the core engineering are a lot better at it than getting into specialization. So that would be my answer.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Do any other panel members would like to comment on this buzz around the new generation engineering branches? Okay.
If it's
Yeah.
possible, can I
Yes,
add
yes,
a
yes.
bit?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So one thing I would like to add is like there are multiple branches, like general branches, computer science, electronics. So around these two itself, I'd like to focus right now. So I have got a lot of friends who learned computer science for the 4 years, and I have to say, the people who are actually passionate in their learning, they actually learned all these courses, including machine learning, the image processing, what the deep learning, all those things they actually could learn during their 4 years with almost all the basic that included. Similarly, in electronics, yeah, the VLSI, embedded systems, then whatever firmware is required, all those things you can learn while you take up all these basic level courses also. So from my perspective, I believe the specialized courses in your undergraduate level itself, it's not, from my perspective, I think it is not that recommended. So what I would recommend is like, while if you believe you have a passion towards something specific, for example, IoT might be a really booming industry right now, but think about it like you'll be completing your graduation in 4 years. So the same thing might not be the important or the top of the pile course when you're graduating out after 4 years. So during that time, when you have to pivot to a different specialization, it will be very difficult, as Varghese sir had explained. So I would say the basic part, if you're clear about it, you can do all the specialization while you're doing the basic part itself. Those 4 years you can utilize by learning your own things. And if you really want to learn those things, you'll need to have that fire in you while you're doing that engineering course. If you have that fire, you'll do more projects outside of your curriculum, outside of your that four walls of the college. You will start to explore what all opportunities are there, and you have room for improvement and room for understanding how the industry works. It's very difficult to understand the whole industry while you're still completing your higher secondary education. It's very difficult. So what I would recommend is like get into this basic level of core engineering stuff rather than going for the specialization. And as Varghese sir and ma'am had explained previously, you can choose the basic core subjects if you are not very sure, and in your higher studies you can go for the specialization. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Ferdinand. I think the same concept Ravi Kumar sir was also saying, that you think about 10 years rather thinking about what is the trend now. Yeah, thank you for that. So we got few questions from participants. Okay, also I request all participants to post your questions in the comment box. So there's a question that the course fee of IITs and NITs comparatively more than GEC, say government engineering colleges. So even a student having good marks, rank, and desire can't join there due to financial problems. It is a problem. Any remedies for this? I think I recently had a discussion about same thing with Sahil when he was talking about admission in IIM. Sahil, can you comment on this?
Yeah, sure thing, sure thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so to answer this particular question, if you are getting into a branch of your interest and if you are getting into an institution, then if that institute is actually good, like if it's in the tier 1 or tier 2 kind of institution, the fees they are charging should not be a criteria for rejecting or choosing the college. I think ROI, it's the most celebrated term, especially when it comes to even UG college, but also in terms of MBA colleges. People go behind this ROI, how much they are paying and how much they will get out of 4 years. But one thing you should understand is like the education in which you are investing is not a short-term investment like what you are getting immediately after the graduation. It will be there for a lifetime. It's a lifelong investment. So think about this one, like it's not about the package you get immediately out of the college and at what time you will be able to break even this particular amount. But then think of the long term, how much value it can add after maybe 5 years or 6 years. Like think about that. Second thing, how to tackle this particular issue. So if the institute is actually good, if the institute is in the tier 1 or tier 2, or if it's an institution of eminence, then most of the banks, like if you get an admission to that particular college, then most of the banks will be coming, like standing in queue in front of you to offer you a loan. And these loans, for these kind of loans, you do not even have to have a Qburst, or you do not even have to have a security at place. And the interest are as low. It's kind of at par with the bank rate of that particular country. For example, I am availing an education loan at an interest of 6.5%, which is like one of the lowest which I can get. So you can actually break even that. So don't think in the short term. You can actually avail a loan. It's pretty simple nowadays. Even the institute will help you with a lot of such stuff. Second thing, if you are actually facing some kind of financial difficulties, then once you get into the colleges, there will be lots of funds in terms of the alumni will be giving you some kind of need-based financial assistance. There is Government of India which is offering lots of scholarships. Like many of my friends in IIM, like IIM used to charge a fees around 20 lakhs, but then there are people who study here for free. And this is not one or two. It's a huge proportion of students who study here for free, because the Government of India actually reimbursed their entire tuition fees for the 2 years of duration. So the same thing happens in engineering college as well. So please, while you are preparing, like now, don't think about how you will finance your studies, because there are lots of opportunities. You will be able to do that for sure.
I know.
Adding to this, I think
Dr.
this is applicable only for, say, the top institutes. Otherwise, going for private institutes, the fees you should keep in mind. Yes, Varghese sir.
I was going to say that Dr. Sameer is is here, and considering that he is actually part of NIT Calicut, I would probably encourage him to comment on this, because he can probably comment on it much better than it. After Sahil, probably he can comment on it the best.
Thank you, Varghese sir. Just one point I can add is, in NITs, all NITs in the country, there is a differential fee system. If your family's annual income is less than 1 lakh, there is absolutely no tuition fee. Complete tuition fee is waived. And if your annual income is 1 lakh to 5 lakhs range, then what you need to pay is only about 30% of the tuition fee. So, which is about 30,000 per year. Whereas if your income is above 5 lakh, then you have the normal fee, which is about 1 lakh per year. A similar differential system is there in IITs also. So as far as these two class of institutions are considered, there is a differential fee system depending on the annual income of parents. Secondly, if you join the institute, so for all students belonging to the scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, there is no hostel fee as well as tuition fee, absolutely, for all students. For minority OBC students also, a lot of students are eligible for scholarships of Government of India. So they also will be, most of them will be enjoying scholarships. And on top of all these, many institutions are having their own corpus funds. So here in NIT Calicut, we have what is called as a Silver Jubilee Endowment Fund, contributed by the Silver Jubilee batch every year. And we give scholarship to about 100 students to the tune of, meeting their hostel expenses. So there are ways of meeting expenses, and as Sahil was mentioning, you can even, avail bank loans and then at a reduced rate, and then manage the remaining expenses. Thank you.
Thank you, Sameer sir. Any other panel members would like to comment on this?
Yeah, just to add, I'm part of actually two funds where this is in CET, because that was my alma mater, where my batch is actually funding for, Jisha knows this very well. My batch is actually funding for students, women, ladies who are, deserving from CET, and our class is actually funding 4 students in electronics who has a challenge, and this is primarily on the tuition fee side. So again, to Sahil's point, there's a lot of alumni that actually do this back for their alma mater. CET also has a very strong program. Jisha can talk about it, where deserving students are always supported. I think that's the case with most of the older institutions, because they will have a long history of alumni. The newer institutions that way will have a bit more of a challenge, but if you talk about the IITs or NITs, especially those who've been there for a long time, they will certainly have a larger corpus fund like Professor Qburst.
Yeah, thank you,
Yes,
Varghese sir. Yeah, Jisha.
Adding to those points, like, yeah, my suggestion would be that definitely you should not opt out if you get admission in good institutions. So in CET also, I think around 100+ students are being supported by alumni alone per year. And in addition to that, there are a lot of scholarships, not even to the students belonging to SC, ST or OBC, even though you belong to forward, one student belong to forward caste, then also government scholarship are there. It is only based on the annual income. Okay, the full tuition fee will be reimbursed. So that will not be any a difficulty for a student who's getting into a good institution. That will not be a hurdle at all.
And
it should not be. I think that is the primary.
Yeah. So basically, yeah, that is the message altogether. So finance shouldn't be a criteria in selecting any course or a branch. So we have a question from the participants. What is the difference in opportunities between BSc Computer Science and BTech Computer Science? So anyone from IT industry can comment on that. So since Varghese sir was commenting on all things, let me ask Pooja. So can you comment on that? BSc Computer Science and BTech Computer Science.
Yeah, like I don't have a much big idea, but I guess like when it comes to BTech Computer Science, we are more of a practical oriented side rather than the theory. Like there is theory too, but along with theory, there is a lot more practical area that we focus on. But when it comes to the BSc, like they focus more on the science side is what I feel. Of course, science is important, but when like for engineers, of course, the problem solving skills is what we need so much. So in order to inculcate that, we have a lot of problems that is there to solve, and more of the industry oriented practical knowledge is more, which is immersed is what I guess. Like I don't know much about this. Maybe the other panelists can add up on this, like the difference between BSc and BTech.
Yeah, I think Varghese sir got enough time to have take a break. So sir, back to you. Same question.
I will ask Ravi sir to actually talk, because in space applications you see a lot of science graduates also working together with engineers. Sir, your perspective.
Ravi Kumar sir.
Right. See, sir, Pooja already mentioned very briefly, engineering is more focused, computer science engineering is more focused on computer science, whereas BSc computers is one of the subjects among the other sciences and other subjects. And this only a beginning of learning computers in 3 years BSc. So there is a big difference between these two. But BSc computer students are able to scale the gap if they are given this trigger, what a computer is and how it can be. They are reaching BTechs also while they are taking up the assignments. Right, sir. And as you said, of course, the criteria for employment and all, it has a different altogether consideration. The BTech student is given for some other opportunities, whereas BSc, MSc students are given different opportunities. That's a different policy matter.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I'll just add to it. In the IT industry, first of all, BScs in the Indian context is what I'm saying, especially the 3-year BScs are not seen or accepted as a professional course, yes. Right? So that is fundamentally the big difference, right? BTech is a professional course and therefore is treated in that fashion. Traditionally, what we, at least in the IT industry, what we see is the BTechs, meaning the BTechs under a certain salary. BScs and diplomas typically join at a lower salary. In fact, diplomas get a higher salary than BScs, right? And that is because they have a lot more of practical exposure during their diploma that helps them to get into the IT industry very effectively. So that is the way that it is demarcated. Now, because of the number of people that the IT industry needs, compared to earlier years, there's a lot more of recruitment that is happening at the BSc level, right? Typically, physics, maths, computer science, IT are the ones that have the bulk of the hires, and that is because of the sheer need, right? But they start at a disadvantage. So my recommendation is, if you're joining in as a BSc, as far as possible, get in and do an MSc, or even BS. So somebody, I think, I don't know who was talking, Sahil was talking about BITS. BITS offers courses for BSc graduates with a couple of years of experience to do an BS, right? A Bachelor of Science in technology. And then they also, then you can go on to do an MS in, as well, post your BTech or BS in a sense. So there's also courses like that enable you to get into the mainstream, but getting stuck with the BSc might not be, something that is recommended in the long term. As an opportunity, again, it gives you the first step sometimes to get in, but long term, you would probably want to look at other options to consider.
Thank you, sir. So I have seen some of the participants sending me direct message. I request everyone to put it for seen by everyone, so that in case if we are not able to answer due to time concern, so we can answer it in the chat window itself. So there is a question very much specific to a branch. Could you please tell us about the scope and job opportunities in BTech Mathematics and Computing? Anyone in the panel members, or Sameer sir? BTech Mathematics and Computing.
I can probably start, and
Okay,
then I would,
yes.
or Sameer sir, I think you are probably the best person to answer that, and then I can add to it.
Applied mathematics and computation is emerging as an important branch of study nowadays. Again, it is because of the strong connection between computer science and mathematics. You know that in foreign universities, mostly many professors are having affiliation to mathematics department and computer science department jointly. And in the industry also now, there is a lot of demand in core software engineering industry for people who have completed PhD in mathematics, basically, because core of many algorithms, there lies strong mathematical foundation. So accordingly, a few new IITs and some of the earlier old IITs also have started this BTech program in applied mathematics or mathematics and computation, etc., to give more focus on mathematical aspects of computing. So if you are having a passion for mathematics, and if you still do not want to deviate much from that, except for learning some algorithms and all and bit of programming, then it is a good branch. But the demand is very high for those branches now, so it is not very easy to get into those branches. But I think there is a lot of scope, especially if you're having a research mindset, to go for a PhD after doing that program. Then it is a very good program, and you will land into a great career. Thank you, Varghese. You can add.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I don't know how many people in this group know about ISR, right? Now, ISR was set up specifically to support the pure sciences, right? Whether it's maths, physics, chemistry, biology. So if you're really interested in maths, I would probably suggest ISR as a better alternative to going going into a engineering institute that teaches maths, primarily because the exposure that you get from a pure sciences perspective in a non-engineering world will probably be much higher than going into studying maths in an engineering world, right? So like Dr. Sameer was mentioning, you would end up doing a lot more of engineering maths in a sense, which is more applied maths around computing or very specialized areas, rather than getting a much more broader perspective, which a pure sciences college might offer. So if you're that interested, my suggestion is go the ISR way. Earlier, we didn't have these opportunities. So unless you are lucky enough to do an MSc Maths and then go into an IISc or some of the institutes like that. There was a CV Raman Research Institute in Bangalore and others. Unless you are lucky not to get into that, or a TIFR in Mumbai, you would probably not have a huge scope, right? You would end up being a maths teacher, and that's all that you could look for. But with these kind of institutes there, the opportunity is much more. And like Sameer sir was mentioning, it's a lot more about computing and applying computing and applying maths and computing that is in that space. But if you're a pure maths person, ISRO is probably my first recommendation today, because that to me is a more probably holistic perspective.
Yeah, thank you, Varghese sir. We have a few more questions from the participant side. So there is a question from a student who is studying in class 12. How can I get an international internship even while studying in a private university, and how to avail myself an internship after graduation? So maybe recent graduates, do you want to comment on that?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
I can take the question. Like internship opportunities, it's basically, I think internet is one area where you can get the internship opportunities, but that doesn't mean that there's a lot of fake information also going on, like where people take money from you and then don't give you the proper internship. Not like that, but you have proper sites, like if it is Google, IBM, all these have the proper sites for careers and internships. So if you go through Google careers or IBM careers, or maybe even Amazon, they all have a subsection which comprises of the internship opportunities they provide. And moreover, if you want an international internship, there is opportunity for doing online internships that you can sit in the comfort of your home and you can complete it. And you can even, like as already Varghese sir mentioned, like all of the international universities like Harvard, be it Stanford, or any other university, Manchester University, or you name it, all these universities have got their own websites, and they are providing tremendous of opportunities online as well as offline. And you can, the only thing you will have to do is you have to search through the website, and as he already mentioned, you need a mentor to find out what is the right one and which is the fake one. So you'll have to do a lot of research on that. You have to find out which is best for you and then apply for it. And there'll be thousands of people applying for all these things. And I think that is one way you can get opportunities. And also Google is conducting these competitions like Google Summer of Codes, and when you eventually get in the leaderboard or rank list, you get internship opportunities. Similarly, I think HackerRank is also providing certain internship opportunities. So like if you want to do an international internship like this, I think this is the way you can go for the best universities or the best companies and go to their authentic websites. Even you can use LinkedIn for these opportunities. LinkedIn also provides numerous opportunities, like authentic opportunities on internship as well as your job requests. And I think that is what I feel if you want an international internship.
Yeah, thank you, Pooja. Anyone else want to comment on that? Okay, we will move on to the next question. So that was a question we received before. So there are 4-year BTech course, and some institutions offers 5-year integrated MTech. So how should we see into that? So is it like going to MTech within 5 years matters better than doing BTech first and then going for MTech, which will extend to about 6 years? So how should we go ahead selecting these two options? Maybe Jisha ma'am.
Yes. See, it's all, I think, our personal choice. Because no, like, see, in +2, no, like as students, we will not be knowing like how much I am interested towards this particular area. Okay, whether I can pursue my studies up to 5 years or so. So it's always better to opt for undergraduate studies. And then, okay, if you feel like, okay, I wished, because no, nowadays higher education, okay, it's like, it's mandatory kind of. So only when you are in the 3rd year or 4th year, you will have an idea, okay, in which area I should go. Okay, whether I should go towards, okay, IIM, whether I should go or to IIT or IAC, or whether I should go abroad. So that kind of thoughts, no, that thought process will be happening generally during pre-final year or final year. So initially itself, now integrated courses, I will not generally recommend, but still no, some students are very much passionate in joining IITs. Okay. So if you are getting an opportunity and you're so passionate in going there, then definitely you can choose that option. So otherwise, I will strongly recommend that better choose the UG programs itself.
Yeah, thank you, Jisha ma'am. Since your time is going out, so let us conclude things. Before that, there is one more question. Maybe I will go with Ravi Kumar sir. Sir, is there any preference in engineering branches for government job?
Once again, repeat once again.
So is there any preference of engineering branches while go for a government job? So while applying for a government job, is it like only core branches are being admitted, or for IES there is any reservation for core branches, anything like that?
It's easy to answer. One word. Government jobs are very versatile in nature. It starts from central government, defense, Ministry of Defense, Ministry of Space, something or there. If somebody are interested in those particular areas, they have to pursue relevant technical courses. And if it is UPSC or some other state union public commissions, then they offer different jobs. There is no necessity of specific degree, branch there. Any degree holder can opt for it. In fact, I know a few institutions which offer degree course and are connected with IAS or UPSC services. So they complete 3 years of course there and they opt for these competitive examinations. So their target is to get into some government job of that particular big list. It's a very big list. So that's how it goes. I think this is a very big area. A person has to select what he wants to become and then choose the path. Right.
Thank you, Ravi Kumar sir. Now, as a concluding note, I request all the panel members to put all the messages in just 1 minute. So, starting with Jisha ma'am, can you please just enlighten us with a concluding note, trying to limit it to 1 minute.
1 minute. Okay. So the first thing is that when you're choosing your branch, look at see what do you like. So whether you have any priority in that, first you should think in that. Okay, if you have the priority, definitely go in that direction itself. Okay, then comes which institution. And so definitely IITs and NITs are better options, but still if you're not able to get into that, don't be desperate, because sometimes you won't be able to get into that, but still there are very many good institutions where you can pursue your engineering studies. And in addition to so it's basically a foundation, as Varghese sir was telling, it's basically a foundation in which you can build a very beautiful house. So how you build that beautiful house, it all depends on, in addition to the conventional branches you try to take a minor program also and try to pursue some online courses, and which will definitely help you to build beautiful houses upon that. And definitely, when suppose even though you have decided to be a mechanical engineer, suppose you will be having some interest towards some robotics or something like that, what you can do is in second year or first year itself, you can just take up a project. So never be lazy in taking up projects of your interest, aligning to your domain, and try to work on that. So definitely, and try to build your resume in such a way that definitely whoever is looking at your resume will feel like picking you for their company.
Thank you. Thank you, Jisha ma'am. Varghese sir?
I think I echo what Jisha was talking about. Just to add, and I'm reiterating this because this is not a culture that we have, as a practice, right? Which is finding mentors. It doesn't matter, who you are, where you're coming from. you can always find mentors, right? LinkedIn, Pooja referred to LinkedIn quite a bit. LinkedIn is a great place to kind of find mentors, right? If you can't find somebody that is very close by, right? But the reason why I'm keeping on talking about mentors is the mentors can guide. And the reason, again, I'm talking about this, I see even graduates who entered the organization. I recently had two people in my team who've been with me for 2 years, and graduate engineers who joined and then moved to a different organization. The challenge that I see is their parents were kind of helping them out in making the choices. And some of these cases, the choices are probably not the right ones, right? It's not because I'm saying they're part of the team and they should remain with me. It's more about, what will they end up doing, right? And a lot of time, people outside the industry do not have a very good perspective of what drives the industry in a sense, right? Which is quite different. So finding the right mentors is actually for me a very important element. You can find it from friends, you can find it from colleagues, you can find it from, institutions, meaning, when I say institutions, I'm saying organizations like IEEE are great at being able to give you that, help you find the right mentors. Because there are people from the industry, people from, who've started their own organizations, people who worked in different organizations, people who worked in academia, and then doing consulting. You get a very mixed bag. And therefore, getting the right perspectives from those kind of mentors is extremely key, right? The world today is very different, right? A lot of the time, I think Ravi Kumar sir alluded to it by saying, you are who you are based on the friends you have. I will make a slight change to that. You are who you are based on the right networks that you have. And today that is extremely important, right? And the mentors can be possibly be the first, step in the door for you to build the right network. The better your network, the better your network by default. Obviously what Jisha mentioned, choose the right subject, put your heart and soul into it, because we have too many average students. What we need is students who really put their, put their skin in the game, do their bit. And those students will go up irrespective of what college they come from. I think that's what I would suggest. Thanks.
Thank you, Varghese sir. That was very insightful. Ravi Kumar sir.
Thank you all for the opportunity once given to talk and express the experiences we have gone through. And I suggest the students to first trigger the fire in them. And there are opportunities, potential is huge, opportunities are endless. It is not 1970s, 80s, 1990s, or even 2000s. Now it is industry 4.0, 5.0, 6.0. So many things are happening, and students have access to anything that he wants to do. And I wish a student should decide and work on it. This very opportunities are very much there. And I must always say the young generation now are rich in their thought processes than persons like me. The young generation now I have met on this panel, they're really coming out, they're shooting the answers comfortably and perfectly. Before I think anything, they are there with the answers, perfect answers. So I appreciate them. And now budding engineers who are +2, +1 kind of students, they should mold themselves, catch hold of mentors, as our Varghese sir mentioned. These mentors are available even in colleges, +2, +1 also. Students spend more time in colleges with the teachers than with parents. So the teacher will definitely identify what kind of subject he has, metal he has. So casually they also mention sometime, why Ravi Kumar, why don't you do this? You will shine up in this direction. Like that they try to give some hints. So please follow the hints, look for the hints, don't ignore. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ravi Kumar sir. Before going to Sameer sir, I have a request to all the participants. There is a feedback form we have posted in the chat box. So please do fill the feedback form. Sameer sir, your comment as a closing note in a minute, sir.
Nothing much to add except what I told yesterday, basically. So finally, at the end of the day, after all these counseling, allotment, etc., you may not land up in a college which you really like to join, and sometimes the branch also which you may not really like. But engineering is a great profession, great professional degree which you can get in 4 years of time. So it is the way you are going to utilize these 4 years that will mold you at the end of these 4 years, and you'll be able to diverge into a great domain of careers if you try to make use of these 4 years effectively. As I said yesterday, the key is how to build your resume distinctly different from your peers in the college, right? So how to make it attractive, and in this world of mostly software engineering and IT, which is the core strength of India, and so that irrespective of the branch, you'll be able to land on a great career. All the best.
Thank you, Sameer sir. Sahil, in a minute.
Yeah, sure. So, like what Sameer sir has already told was something which I was also about to tell. So, I earlier pointed about the Sundar Pichai example. So, what I intended to tell the participants is, right, it's not like if you get into an IIT, you reach somewhere. It's about engineering. So, you can land up in a multitude of careers after engineering. So, the only criteria, like, I was also someone who was looking forward to get into an IIT or an NIT, that kind of college, but I was not able to make it to them. So my primary criteria was like, there are a plethora of opportunities out there, even if you are in any college. Like there are lots of communities, like for example, IEEE is one of them, there is IST, and then there is many of the small communities like Tinker Hub. But your college should be compatible with that. So as rightly pointed by Ferdinand, you can talk to people who have studied in that particular college and ensure that your college is not the kind of college which will close its gate at 5 p.m. and won't allow you to utilize the lab facilities or won't allow you to sit in groups and tinker. So if your college is doing that, if the college is giving that opportunity to explore yourself, it's a great platform. It's about building the right engineering attitude. Engineering attitude is not something you learn from the classroom, but it's something you learn at the end of 4 years. And you can see, you name any domain, you can see some engineers out here, like in cricket commentator Harsha Bogle, there are writers, there are some people like Raghuram Rajan. Then there are people like in the movie industry. So that's because engineering is a right platform which can give you that attitude and the privilege to explore yourself. So make sure that the college you are choosing will give you such opportunities, and for that you can talk with the people who have studied from that college, as mentioned by Ferdinand. So yeah, in a country like India where the population is huge, where there are lots of problems, engineering has lots of things to do. It's not like because 7 lakhs of engineers are passing out every year, engineering is not having the value. There is still huge demand for potential engineers, for skilled engineers in a country like India. There are still lots of problems to solve. And as the economy is moving forward, the opportunities for engineers is never gonna stop. So all the best, put in all your hard work and do your best. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Sahil. Pooja?
Yeah, so I would like to take it in this perspective, like as already mentioned, anyone can become an engineer, but to be that engineer in quotes, I think it depends upon what you explore, what you experiment, and what are your experiences. I think these 3 E's is what makes you the real engineer. Your exploration, like that is where you set your perceptions right, you find your mentor, you set your confusions right. And the second one is your experiment. So you push your limits to experiment with whatever technology that you have or whatever resources that you have. And finally, all these experiences together is going to make you that ultimate engineer. So your experience is going to talk for yourself, talk for your skills. So just like all the other eminent personalities mentioned, like your skills should talk for yourself. So all these collaboratively is going to make you that best engineer. So that is what I feel. That is what I feel about, like, as a closing remark.
Yeah, thank you, Pooja. Ferdinand?
Yeah, so I would like to state one small thing. So I think all of the panelists has contributed about how to get into engineering and how what all things has to be taken care of, all those things. I would like to say one thing. Once you take up engineering, what you have to do. One thing that you have to do is like keep in mind of the question why. So whichever college you chose, you have to keep in mind why you chose it. You have to keep in mind why you chose the specific course. You have to keep in mind why you got interested into engineering during the whole 4 years. If you're having 4 years course in engineering, during the whole course time, you have to keep in mind of that why question, which will keep up the fire that you have inside. Okay, and there is one common conception, like misconceptions. That's like parents are asking you to repair the. If you're an electrical engineer, parents are asking you to repair the switchboards. And at the end of the year, you're saying like, no, I can do it. I might be able to solve some Ohm's law or Kirchhoff's law, but I'm not going to solve. I'm not going to repair this. And that misconception happens because a lot of students are not learning with that fire. They are not understanding why that question of why they are learning the specific things. Where are they going to apply this? So whenever you are proceeding with the engineering as your future option, try to learn that part. Why you're doing this? Why you're learning the specific things? Like that, you can actually excel in this field of electronics or engineering as such. That is what I would like to give as a ending note. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Ferdinand. I'm trying to
Shone,
conclude
just
from.
more just one point.
Yeah,
we can make mistakes, right? And I think we need to understand and accept that that's a tremendous possibility, right? Irrespective of all the exposure, irrespective of probably studying in the best colleges, we can make a mistake. The point is, even if you lose a year, don't worry, right? In a 30-year career, a 1 year is 0.3. It's not going to make a huge difference, right? If you think you've not done the right things, have the courage to change your path. I think that's very important as well, right? And the reason why I'm saying that is I started being a doctor, ended up being an engineer, went to management, right? I did marketing and then switched to technology, and I'm being a technologist ever since, right? So, you can make mistakes. It's just that that's the ground reality, right? Sometimes things don't work the way that we want it to do, right? But have the courage and fortitude to kind of stick to your goals, make the change. And, I think that's also something every student needs to think about. Don't assume things are going to be hunky-dory. They are not, right? Just because I entered engineering college doesn't mean that, I will graduate as an engineer also, right? I might find my passion somewhere else completely differently, but it's just that, engineering might help you do that much better than probably any other course, right? But I think the important thing is, you have the opportunity to change, right? That is within your grasp. Choose that as well very wisely.
thank you, Varghese. That was very insightful. So let me try to conclude all the points we discussed. So institution tagline matters a lot. So being in an IIT, INIT, or government engineering college matters a lot. However, it's about hard work you may going to matter in terms of your destiny. The right example would be Sundar Pichai and Satya Nadella. Now talking about the financial thing, if you are getting into the top institute, respective of their fees, there are scholarships, there are low interest bank loans you can avail, so which would help you to make your financial sustain. And if you do not have a specific passion towards any branch, or if you do not have a very strong interest to any branch, go for the core branches, and it's all about making your resume more attractive end of the day, and by good networks and mentors. So that is all about engineering, not anything related to say institutes. So thanks a lot. So thanks a lot for all the panel members for putting forward your comments. So those were very insightful for us. To all participants, kindly fill the feedback form posted in the chat window. So thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Moving on. Over to you, Anne.
So as we have come to the end of session, on behalf of IEEE Malabar Subsection, I take this opportunity to express my sincere gratitude to our moderator and all, Mr. Varghese Cherian, and
Thank you,
Professor
sir.
A. Ravi Kumar, sir,
Thank you, Ravi Kumar, sir.
Dr. Jisha V R,
Thank you, Jisha ma'am.
also Mr. Sahil Sameer,
Thank you, Sahil.
also Miss Pooja Haridas,
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pooja.
and Mr. Ferdinand Thomas.
Thank you.
We had such an awesome and informative discussion here. I also thank every aspirant gathered here for taking part in the session. I request all of you to kindly fill the feedback forms. We had 2 incredible days of learning in Roadmap to Success in Engineering Studies 2021. I thank everyone who contributed to success of this event. Once again, thank you all. This is me, Anne Maria Roy, signing off. Thank you so much.
And a special thanks to Sameer sir. In spite of his busy schedule, he was able to join. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thanks.
Thank you all, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
See you again.
Thank you.
All the best.
Thank you.
Thank you all and all.
Thank you all.